Thank you. So my name is Rhonda Humphreys. I'm a highly effective educator in the District of Columbia Public School System and an emerging leader. Thank you. And early on in the conversation, you were talking about penetrating the minds of young youths, and every day I go inside and I try to penetrate the minds of 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. What advice do you have to keep us motivated? Because we have a lot of educators in this building who want to go back and implement that for Dr. Dyson and also for you, Nas.
Right. Man, for me, it was different. The way I kind of educated myself, if you will, was I kind of taught I started to get into the history of the country. I wanted to know why things were the way they were. And you might want to start with asking them, do you know how you got here? How did your grandparents get here? Are you cool with your grandparents? Do you respect them? Do you know what they went through to get you here? Do you know what your grandparents went through to get you here? You're here for a reason. You made it through something. You made it through one of the worst storms in human history. And you're here because they said, I'm not giving up. Because those grandparents and great-great-grandparents said, we gotta make it. And we gotta feed our kids who became your grandparents. And your grandparents said, I'm gonna feed these kids who became your parents. And now so what do you owe back to that legacy? What do you owe back, and what do you care even about that legacy? And do you know who you are? So let's start there, young man and young lady. Do you know who you are and where you come from? And what your job is now, because we don't have any more time. So we have to start now with you, young man, you, young lady. I'm not letting you out of my sight until I see a change, period.
All right. So I would say as an educator, besides the wonderful and really foundational questions that Nas talked about, you know, sometimes teachers get burnt out and they get frustrated because the fight is so big. You're on the front lines too. So I would say, first of all, always understand you should take what you do with deadly seriousness, but you should never take yourself too seriously.
Oh, man.
You know?
I always say, yes.
So the struggle is real. The war you're waging is concrete, and you have to really use everything at your disposal to change young people, but you can't think you're the only person left to do it. Because if that's the case, you burn yourself out, you exaggerate the obstacle, and devalue your ability to challenge it. So that's what I mean by taking what you do with deadly seriousness, but yourself not so much. Go to movies, listen to music, eat Jamaican food, have fun, FaceTime with your babies. Right. So the point is that you have to feed and regenerate your soul in order to face another day's battle. That's number one in terms of self-maintenance. Gandhi said, if I don't take care of myself, I can't help you. Right. And if Gandhi said that, and Gandhi transformed the world, we should pay attention. That's number one. Number two, I think teach your kids stuff that excites you. Like if it ain't exciting you, it ain't gonna excite them. Because if you ain't excited about it, they're not gonna be excited to hear it. So you've got to find ways in which you challenge yourself to think, as Nas said, in terms of self-teaching, right? What we call autodidacticism, right, in technical terms. Look, when I was out in LA, I remember I would go to SOM bookstore. They said, Nas just left here 5 minutes ago with a bag full of books, filled up his car, right? That was constant story. So the thing is, when you're constantly feeding your mind, when you're constantly reading and replenishing the source, then you get a sense of the largeness of the world you occupy and some of the resources you have at your disposal. So I think it's very critical for you to be on target in terms of what you have at your disposal. And then thirdly, I think that you always got to remember, my pastor used to tell me, we have already come through what we've come to. That is to say, things used to be a lot worse than they are now. So before we start belly aching and kvetching about the problems we confront now, let's remember that there were people who faced enormous odds. and who are able to overcome. Howard Thurman, the great mystic, said this: never reduce your dreams to the level of the event, which is your immediate experience. The thing you're confronting now must not exhaust the palette of colors from which you draw in order to paint your picture on the canvas of history. Never reduce your dreams to what you're facing now, because he said, our slave foreparents said, this will not last always. So you've got to see beyond that. Never get caught, never become a prisoner of the moment, but become a prisoner of hope and vision. And then finally, I think, always hang around young people too. The beautiful thing I love about teaching undergraduates, and many of my undergraduates, Shannon and my brother from Mississippi and other people who were here, Mashana Garshi is here as a graduate student. One of the things I love about teaching young people is that I learn so much. If you want to learn something, teach it. If you want to learn something, teach it. If you want to learn yourself, be a teacher. And so for me, other people say, well, you can't do what you want to do, therefore you teach. That's not true. Teaching is a first-order business of engaging in the process of exposing new minds and fresh souls to the potential to expand. And if you take that seriously, what you do is just as important as a nuclear physicist, as a rapper, as a singer, as a dancer, and any other entertainer on this world. You are doing something more important than anything. You are giving new minds fresh opportunity to live inside their own dreams. And if you do that correctly, you can change the world.